Good afternoon, my fellow Toastmasters.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today's inspiration is, I have always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value. By Hernan Hesse. The word of the day is umbrage, a feeling of being offended or resented. Taking umbrage to a blonde joke, Jenna stormed out of the room. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Great. Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, Lillian. Please give a round of applause to Lillian.
Good afternoon, my fellow Toastmasters. I'm your Toastmaster for the day, and I'm here to help you accomplish your goals by becoming company communicators. One of my goals today is to ensure that the meeting runs on time, that the segments are on time as well, and they end on time. It's my responsibility to introduce the functionary roles of the meeting. That's it. To introduce the functionary roles. I won't say that anymore. At this time, I would like our counter to please give us a description of your role, Bill.
Certainly. As the counter for today, I'll be looking for the use of words, filler words like even crutch words like so, things like that.
Thank you very much. And Jonathan will perform the role of the grammarian. Please provide us with a description of the role today.
Thank you. My role as a grammarian is to help my fellow Toastmasters accomplish their goals by listening for the proper use of grammar. I will present a brief 4-minute verbal report when called upon by the Toastmaster. The word of the day is umbrage. Definition, or it means a feeling of being offended or resented. Using that in a sentence, taking umbrage to a blonde joke, Jenna stormed out of the room. Please use the word of the day at least once when you speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. And finally, our timer. We would like to have Janae please provide your role as a timer today.
My role as a timer is to make sure we all speak in a defined time frame. Also to define the time frame for the segments and give a verbal report when called upon by Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Janae, for those, and I thank everyone for providing us with the descriptions of your functionary roles. At this time, I would like to we will move over into our speaking segment. Rick, you're the evaluator for John, who's providing his speech. Will you please provide us with his objective?
John's first speech on the Pathways program is to present a speech or topic to the group and communicate effectively his speech as an icebreaker speech.
This one right after the
icebreaker speech. So just deliver a well-organized speech and remain on topic to convey either a humorous, informational, or in any different style. He has a lot of range and availability for this speech.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward, or we should be looking forward to John, who has already completed his competent communicator. He's now starting on his path in Pathways. This is his first speech in Pathways, not the icebreaker. The title of John's speech this afternoon will be Utah Spirit. But before calling John up, timer, will you please share with John his timing for his speech?
John, the timing for your speech is 5 to 7 minutes. When you reach 5 minutes, I will raise the green card. 6 minutes, I will raise the yellow card. And the 7 minutes, I will raise the red card, and you'll have 30 seconds after to wrap up.
Thank you very much. Let's bring John to the podium.
Welcome everybody. This time of year is one of my favorites. It's the period between October and December that I like to call, and I'd like to wish you all a happy Hallow Thanks Hanukkah. Now, in the year 2030, we're also going to have Ramadan, so it will become Happy Hallow, Thanks, Hana, Rama-ness. Now, regardless of which religion you belong to and which holidays you celebrate, for me, this is one of the most wonderful times of the year. In fact, there's a song called The Most Wonderful Time of the Year about the holiday season, and you're probably all familiar with it. I'm going to cover some of the lyrics, but I promise I won't sing. But the song goes like this, and I want you to think about the lyrics and tell me if anything stands out as maybe being a little bit unusual. So there'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, caroling out in the snow, there'll be scary ghost stories, and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Now, does anything there sound like it doesn't really belong?
Scary.
Scary ghost stories, right? Everything else in the song, and I only covered a couple of lines, everything else in the song is joyous and celebratory, and then you have scary ghost stories. Why would people tell scary ghost stories at Christmas time? It doesn't seem to fit in. But it turns out that there's a reason for it, and that there's a long tradition of telling ghost stories at Christmas time. After all, it's no coincidence that the most famous Christmas story is also a ghost story. Or said another way, the most famous ghost story is a Christmas story. And I think you probably all know which one I'm thinking of. I see nods over here.
Yes.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, right, with Ebenezer Scrooge, and we're going to come back to him. But then you may wonder, and this goes back millennia, this tradition. It stopped about 100 years ago. But then you may wonder, why do we tell ghost stories at Christmas? And the reason is, as Christianity spread across Europe, it's going back hundreds, even thousands of years, it adopted a lot of the traditions that were already existing at the time. And one of those traditions, because Christmas falls in December, the same time as the winter solstice, people had a tradition of gathering around a fire. And you might wonder why they would tell ghost stories at winter solstice. And the reason is, it's the end of the year, it's cold, it's dark, it's actually the shortest day of the year. So after the winter solstice, days start getting long again. So they'll gather around the fire, and there's no TV, there's no cell phones, so people will tell stories. And because it's the end of the year, it's a time when people traditionally think about the past year, the year that's gone by, maybe people that they've lost. They'll reflect on their own actions during the year, and a lot of us will set goals for the next year. We'll make New Year's resolutions. Ghost stories in particular call out, I think they're especially poignant, and the reason I think they're especially poignant is that ghosts are such tragic figures, right? We have the opportunity at the end of the year to remake ourselves, to set goals, to set resolutions, and then follow those. But if you're a ghost, you've made all your decisions. There's no future. You essentially have to live with any decision you've ever made because there's no opportunity for change. And if you think about the story of Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol, he was visited by Jacob Marley, who I always want to call Bob Marley. He came to Scrooge, and he was a ghost, and he was carrying around very heavy chains, very long, heavy chains, and they were weighing him down. And every link in that chain represents guilt that he felt for not being a better steward of his fellow man, of humankind. And he came to Scrooge and he told him that he has to change or he's going to end up with the same fate. And in fact, his chain is made of bigger links and it's much, much longer than Marley's. And Scrooge didn't really take this seriously. He says, look, I've always been good at business. And Marley took great umbrage with this comment. And if you've ever seen any of the films, he kind of flies up in the air and he flies into a rage. He says, humankind is our business. So with that, go ahead and click me. Yeah. reflect on the coming end of the year, and I think about changes that I'd like to make, I reflect on these stories. In fact, this is a tradition that I'm going to pick up myself and I'm going to share with my family. Now, I said it ended about 100 years ago. Now, I'm going to take it back to the year 1842, before A Christmas Carol was written. Charles Dickens, who wrote A Christmas Carol, had written several stories. He just had Oliver Twist about a year earlier, and it was a phenomenal success. But then he had 3 failures after that. And the fate of telling ghost stories at Christmas, the fate of Christmas itself, and Charles Dickens' future were all in mortal peril. But nothing comes back from the dead like a good ghost story. So when he wrote A Christmas Carol, it was widely received. People loved it. Donations to charities went through the roof all over the place. The tradition of Christmas was reestablished as a holiday, and people began to celebrate it more like we do today. So Christmas was saved. The telling of ghost stories went on for another 50 years after this. And Charles Dickens himself went on to write another 9 novels, including Great Expectations, David Copperfield, and A Tale of Two Cities, some very big novels. So this year, again, regardless of what religion you practice, this year I think everybody at the holiday season should reflect. Take some time to reflect and remember at all times that humanity is our business.
As always, when John speaks, he's always so informative, and his speeches makes us think and contemplate what we can do and how we can share some of the experiences that he's experienced with those that are close to us. Moving ahead, within our meeting today is the fun part of our meeting. This is where everyone will have an opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry. May I just ask, before we move over to our table topics, if everyone would take at least 1 minute and write a brief thought, compliments to John, and I'm sure none of us will take umbrage to his speech topic. I would like to thank everyone for their comments. John, thank you for your speech. And at this time, we would like to welcome our table topic master, Gigi, to the podium. Thank you very much. And her theme is not your mom's Thanksgiving Day party, Thanksgiving dinner party. This is going to be very interesting.
I hope this is a great transition to John's breathtaking speech, as usual. As we get ready for Thanksgiving and the holidays, I thought it would be a good idea to give you some spicy idea for conversation starters at the dinner table or cocktail parties or just friends party. Not your mom's party though. So I hope you don't take umbrage to some of the questions. Basically, I'm gonna give you starters and you're gonna talk. And I would ask for volunteers, but if I don't get any volunteers, I'll, what's the expression that we use? Yeah, I will volunteer someone. All right, Rick, come on. Timer, can you please tell Rick and everybody else who's going to volunteers how long they have to talk at the dinner table?
For table topics, the defined time frame is 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will raise the green card. At 1 minute 30, I will raise the yellow. And at 2 minutes, I will raise the red card, and you have 30 seconds after to complete your speech.
All right, Mr. Rick, could you please tell us what alcohol or drink you will never take again? And why? So take us down to that memory lane without spoiling our appetite.
Well, about 5 or 6 years ago now, I was definitely underage at the time. Actually, maybe like 6 or 7 at this point. I had gone to a cousin's wedding. He was getting married, and it was a big affair. Open bar, great food, and at weddings, my family are very, lax on maybe underage drinking, right? Normally, my parents are very strict. Like, I don't think my parents would ever let me drink around them, but at a wedding, I think everything's fine. And I had just seen the movie, The Big Lebowski. So I don't know if any of you have seen The Big Lebowski, but in the movie, he only drinks White Russians throughout the entire movie. Right? And it's like a creamy drink with, I don't even know what's in it, to be honest. And it tastes great when you're drinking it, right? You don't even taste alcohol. It's basically like a creamy liqueur drink. So you have one, which is great. 2 is even better. And as you just keep going, I'm in the mind, oh, he's doing it in the movie, that's no problem. The next morning, this is a heavy drink, and this just stays with you. This is not just, vodka soda. So I had like 6 or 7 of these White Russians, and then maybe a shot or 2. But the next morning was just rough. I ended up staying at my uncle's house. I think I was just in the bathroom the entire morning. And he kept coming in and checking on me. Are you okay? Okay. And my mom texted my uncle saying, how's he doing? And she showed me the text afterwards, and he's like, he's not doing great. So after that interaction with White Russians, I learned my lesson. I have not had one since, and do not plan on having another one.
Thank you. Very good. Thanks for sharing, and I'll share my drink the drink I will never have again is the Jägermeister, and I'm probably saying it wrong. I had my fair share of of that only once, and I thought never again in college. Next question. Should I say the question first, or should I pick? So the question is, would you rather be in big trouble with your spouse or partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, your boss, or your mom? Would you rather be in big trouble with your significant other, your boss, or your mom? Any volunteers? Jonathan.
Would I rather be in trouble with my boss, my girlfriend, boss, or mom? I would rather be in trouble with my girlfriend. The reason why is because I believe that she's understanding and she'll be quicker to forgive me than my boss or my mom. There are reasons why. At work, you don't really want to mess up. And that's something that might stay with you. It could be on your record. It can follow you throughout your career, depending on how big the trouble is. Correct. With your mom, she tends to hold on to certain things, especially because you no longer live under her roof, she might use it against you to try and convince you to go to certain family functions that you no longer want to participate in. She might even try to get you to buy her certain gifts, as my mom has tried a few times. With my girlfriend, because she wants a happy home, I believe she'll be a lot quicker to forgive me. Thank you.
Good choice. All right, next question to spice up our dinner conversation. What family tradition, I think you kind of covered that, John, so I will not call on you. What family tradition would you or would you not want to pass on to your children? Why? Why not? What family tradition would you want to either pass or would you not want to pass down to your children? Why? Why not? Anyone?
Okay.
Oh, wow. I like that. Look at that.
I'm trying to get better. Okay, what family traditions I would like to pass or not pass to my children? Currently, I don't have children, but if I did, I believe I would not want to pass a family tradition of going to different person's houses to eat Thanksgiving. There are reasons why as well. You don't necessarily know what the food is prepared with. The reason why I'm concerned about that, for me, I don't eat pork, for example. And I didn't grow up with my father, but I did go to his house once before to eat, to have dinner. And he prepared rice. Rice is very simple to me. Boil water, thank you. Thyme and salt, and I believe you're good to go. However, my father puts pig feet in rice for flavor. I did not know that. I go to his house, we're eating, I had my first share of rice. It's amazing. I'm like, wow, this is great, Dad. Can I have seconds? And he says, sure, son, go ahead. As I walk towards the stove, or it is stove, right? The stove? Okay. So I go in the pot, and I dig in, and I see something move on the bottom of the pot. Sure enough, it's a pig feet. Don't have to tell you how the day went, but for that reason, I would not want my children going to different houses to eat without knowing what the food is prepared with.
Very good, and thank you for volunteering twice. The first time was your choice. I think since we have a small crowd, we should probably all follow Jonathan's footsteps, maybe. I have enough for everyone. Next question is, this is a fun one. What is your best excuse when you are pulled over for speeding? Now you can replace speeding with something else, but when you get pulled over, what's your best excuse to the officer? Nobody gets pulled over in this room. Right? I think Lily wants to go. Oh, Janae's volunteering. Great.
Many months ago, I was pulled over. At the time, I was living in DC and I was traveling to North Carolina. And with traveling to North Carolina, you have to pass through Virginia. I don't know if any of you all know that Virginia is a Commonwealth state, and if you're caught speeding, they take you to jail. They want to. So I don't like Virginia for that aspect. It's a pretty place, but I don't like Virginia. So I got pulled over, and And the gentleman, the police officer asked me, you know, did you know you were speeding? And my first response was, well, I'm not from here. I don't really know the speed limits. What was the speed limit? And he told me what it was. I said, well, the speedometer didn't say that I was going that fast. It's impossible. I just got my tires, you know, rotated and air filled. Could that have something to do with it? And so he went on to say, maybe, you know, it does. And it's kind of agreeing with me. And I was just trying to have this pettiness in my face. I said, sir, I really had to use the bathroom. I'm so sorry. And, you know, can you let me go with a warning? So that a couple minutes later came back with the ticket. And I had to go to driving school online in order for me to not gain the points on my license. So he didn't have any mercy.
Very good. I thought these were great excuses, pretty good ones, but he didn't fall for that thing. Do we have time for one more?
Yes.
Perhaps one or two more? This one is simple. Since we're heading down the Thanksgiving, Christmas, end of year path, we have to take resolution maybe. So we have the dinner table, we're guessing what's going to be our resolution. So the question is, what habit would you like to break next year? And why? What habit would you like to break? Looking down? Is that
All right.
You're welcome.
What habit I would like to break? I need to break the habit of procrastination. I have such a bad habit of procrastination that many times I believe it really prohibits me from being as successful as I possibly could, because I tend to rush through or not perform enough research to be as effective as I think I could be. Presentations are always good, I must say that, but I could always be better if I planned ahead. For instance, if I stopped procrastinating, I could have already been completed with my Confident Communicator certifications here in Toastmasters. Next year, I promise I will do much better with performing my speeches. I will participate in various roles, but it's preparing my speeches. I continue to put it aside and put it aside for the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. 2019 will be a change, no more procrastination.
You get another 5, and yeah, if you get another one.
I do have one more person. You've already spoken. And the question is, I have actually 3 questions left, but I'll go bold. Please do not take umbrage. John said it was okay to throw that one out there. And it's in red for a reason. Question is, and this is not on your mom's dinner table, so feel free. Boxers or briefs? Or nothing at all. Boxers or briefs or nothing at all. And you can spin it however way you want, but please do not take umbrage.
So as a young man growing up in Minnesota, there really wasn't an option, boxers or briefs. It was whatever your mom bought you. And that was briefs, white, of course. So as you get older, you have more options, and the idea is, well, what is it really? What does your underwear tell about you? What does it say about you, and what do you want it to say about you? well, for young men, it's really about being cool, right? That's really what it's all about. So the idea is not about comfort, it's not about so much the color, well, it could be about the color, but it's really about looking cool. And it's interesting how prevalent underwear has become in our fashion nowadays because it is so much out there. It's really kind of interesting to me how both men and women nowadays, it's almost like part of your outfit, and you want to display it appears what it is. So it becomes a lot more important. So the styles are so much more important. And I'll have to say that I guess I'm really not as stylish as some of the younger men today because I tend not to display my underwear. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Gigi.
Well, I don't know about you, I had a lot of fun. And actually, my appetite went up during those conversations. I hope you enjoyed it all. This is it for our table topic of the day. Timer, can you tell us if everyone qualified?
Yes, everyone qualified.
At this time, I would like for you to vote for the best table topic of the day.
Can we
Table
go over
topic speaker.
the names again, please?
Everybody but you, John.
Oh, right.
Yes, and Jonathan went twice. I don't know if he gets bonus points for that, but Bill, talked about boxers. Jonathan talked about the big trouble with his girlfriend. Rick took us to the memory lane of white Russian. Was it Russian white or white Russian?
White Russian.
White Russian. And best excuse to hold over was Janae. And Lillian talked about her procrastination as a habit she'd like to break. All right, all votes are in. Our Toastmaster gets the podium back.
Thank you very much.
Gigi, welcome.
Yeah. My preference, Gigi, for briefs. I can always fill them on if I want to. Very good table topics. At this time, we will have our general evaluator. Bill, thank you for graciously volunteering to provide evaluation.
Right. This is the part where we get to review what happened in the first part of the meeting, and we learn what we're doing well and what we can improve upon. Let me start with the functionary. We have one evaluator. Do we do that for? I always get confused. Do we do the evaluator first or the functionaries first? According to the agenda.
Yeah, it's the evaluator.
Oh, thank you.
Evaluator brings up the function.
Oh, okay. So what we'll do is we'll do the functionaries after Rick has an opportunity to evaluate John's speech. So let's welcome to the podium Rick. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I had the pleasure to evaluate John's second speech on the Pathways program, and honestly, I thought it was very good. You always come up with very creative themes that is both entertaining and outside the box, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head. The ghost theme, somehow related to Christmas. I at first, reading the Yuletide, you think it's going to be only about holidays, you're introducing holidays, but then you kind of took us on a different route by explaining how ghost stories have impacted the holidays throughout time and why they are in place. And one, it was both very informative but also entertaining, and I think you did a great job. A couple of things I think maybe we can improve on for next time is changing vocal variety. And I think that's something that we all can work on. It's one of the harder things. Either volume, tone, you name it. But you can just add some of that, and maybe in the opportunity for a ghost scare us or something. I don't know. Using hand gestures, I thought you were both good and sometimes a little bad at this, which is weird. Sometimes you had your hands non-distracting, most of the time, 60-70% of the time, non-distracting manner, and other times you moved your hand in a kind of not matching what you were saying. But I think I'm probably one of the worst perpetrators of this. My friends in grad school used to make fun of me that I would just ask questions on the board and I'd just be pointing around and pointing at stuff. So
Maybe you should be a conductor.
I just had very weak wrists. I think. It was around there. There was one line I wrote down that was very great. Because nothing comes back from the dead like a good ghost story.
Yes, I remember that.
It's a great line. Really brought back, his imagery, and it talked about the story, and I thought it was great. I had to write it down. A couple other things. I thought there was maybe overuse of rhetorical questions, and I don't think it was on purpose. There was a couple that were on purpose. You asked about which one doesn't make sense, marshmallows, ghost stories. That one was clearly on purpose, and that was fine. But I think a couple other times you might have quasi-asked a question. You may know a famous ghost story. You may wonder why the winter solstice, why we say it at the winter solstice. So it's kind of a trope that you hit maybe, I think five or six times throughout the whole speech. Maybe just 3 or 4 would have been. I started to pick up on it and say, okay, maybe a little too much. Other than that, I thought the speech was great. I mean, again, somehow you were always able to find creative topics that keep us entertained and informative rather than just the kind of run-of-the-mill speech. So I applaud you on that, and I'm looking forward to your next speech as well.
Thank you for that enlightening review. So let's move on to the functionary roles. I'll start with the odd counter report. With the odd counter report, we have an opportunity to talk. We are a small group, so I can kind of give everybody a little bit individual feedback. I want to call out Lillian and Jonathan. Lillian and Jonathan, you guys did great. Your first table topics was perfect. There were no ahs or ums or anything like that. Lillian, you did perfectly as well in your table topics. You two were the only two to do that. Overall, we did well. John, I would say the biggest thing I'd like to call out on is something that probably no one else noticed, is that you're joining of your sentences with and. It's something that people do often, as we know, but I think if you want to use that try to make that little tweak, I think you make it even stronger. The rest of us had some ahs and ums overall, but I think we do really well. We've improved a lot over the past few months. Let's next talk about the timer rule. Janae?
John, your speech was 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Rick, as you evaluating, 2 minutes and 49 seconds, which is great. I will comment on this. One of the things that I know I struggle with is I have a lot of thoughts and I'm afraid to utilize the time to gather and organize my thoughts. So you do a great job, and especially you two, with utilizing the time to its fullest capacity to get your message across. Rick, in your table topics, 1 minute and 32 seconds. Jonathan, your first one is 1 minute and 16, and you said that you wanted to improve, and you did, 1 minute and 35 seconds, so you utilized the time. Well, myself, I did 1 minute and 43 seconds. Lillian, 1 minute and 13 seconds. Bill, 1 minute and 27 seconds.
Thank you. That brings us to Jonathan. He was the grammarian today.
Yes. Overall, everyone had great use of language. What I did notice is when you catch yourself in an error or a mistake, you point it out or you stop and wait for the clicker so that continue your speech and don't point something out. I think would be beneficial. We had 3 persons use the word of the day. That was John, Lillian, Gigi. I don't think anybody else used it. I'm mistaken. Okay. Also for John, you would jump mid-sentence to a different thought. So you say something, explain it as in, I want to say maybe before you complete that thought, you jump to something else and then try to get back to that original thought. That I was lost a few times when you did that. So try and finish the thought completely and then continue to the next one. But overall, everyone did great. We also did a lot of self-correction. I saw you started saying something and you realized, I guess it didn't sound right or that's not what you meant. So you went back and corrected yourself. I think that was good as well. But as I said again, we all did well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Let me take about 2 minutes timer for my general evaluation of the meeting.
Okay.
So we had a problem with the location in that somebody was in the room. That could be improved. I know Rick has put forth an idea about how we might do better in putting like a 15-minute leeway or something. I think that's a great idea. Or 30 minutes. Something that give us time to set up the room, if it's possible. Not always possible. We did get set up right away. I thought that the meeting felt really nice in the sense. Personally, I like the smaller setting. We're kind of a close group. It made it kind of enjoyable. Kind of made it feel like just like a conversation. We had a lot of fun with the table topics. Gigi, I think it was a great idea. The table topics you chose were nice in the sense that they did add the spice that makes it interesting. You tied it in with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, which I thought was a nice touch. So your thoughtfulness was well appreciated. John, your speech, the fact that obviously you were evaluated, but I want to just comment that your speech was well thought out. I think I've mentioned this before. You're a writer, first and foremost, and it always comes through in your speeches, and I really appreciate that. Functionaries, you did a great job. Jonathan, good job with the grammarian. You gave us some insight that we hadn't heard before. So I thought that was really kind of cool. And Janae, you did a wonderful job with the timing. So overall, I think we had a pretty successful. Oh, and the Toastmaster. Once again, thank you, Lillian, for managing the meeting. You did a wonderful job, and for delivering the agendas. Lillian's always rock solid with the agendas. I just got to say, I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So that closes my comments for the general evaluation. I'll return the podium to the Toastmaster.
Thank you for the evaluation of our meeting. I thank everyone for their participation. At this time, I would like to know who won the best table topics.
It is my honor and privilege to hand this ribbon to Mr. Jonathan.
He earned it.
Yes. You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our president, Paula, sends her regards. She was not able to make the meeting. Does anyone have any comments or any concerns that they would like to bring before we?
I just had a thought about, if we do a half an hour, if we book it half an hour early, my concern is we'll get some squatters, and if somebody comes in and says, oh, it's 20 minutes in.
True.
So 15 may give you, I don't think anybody's going to book that 15, but it might give you an opportunity to reserve it without somebody coming in thinking that the room's free.
Yeah.
Because the people just didn't show up. It might be a conclusion.
Just 15.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just.
I mean, when possible. I used to book the room. It's very, very difficult.
Jonathan?
Thank you. This was my second time doing the grammarian role, and today I decided to print the word of the day to kind of encourage us to use it, and only 3 persons used it today, so I wanted to get some feedback on possibly what I can do to change that when I do get that role again.
Yeah, we used to, we don't see it so often anymore, we used to tape it up around the room
Okay.
And then you know, if you forget what it is, or even if you forget to use it, you see it, and then you're more likely to use it.
Or maybe we could hold it up when, during tabletop mix.
Oh.
We could print it and put it on the,
Yeah, that's what we used to do. But I think 3 out of, I mean, there's only what, 7 here?
yeah.
I think 3 was not, was a great usage. I don't know. Just,
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good
Okay.
usage. You had a great word. We did use it.
It's a good word.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
chose the
I
word?
never
Yes,
heard.
yes.
Yeah, it is good.
Great, Jonathan.
Okay, so I'd like to thank everyone for their participation. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Lillian.
So he's also California. No, I shouldn't say it was nothing, but what I did say was, you sure you don't mean California roll? I said, is that what it's
Yes.
And I got the ticket.
You're gonna take
Tried so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good one. I had gotten some once, twice. I was thinking police officer.
Oh my God.
The first time, I said he didn't give me a ticket because I was like, oh, I didn't see it, I didn't see it. But the speed zone changed real quickly. And he said, well, come out.
Sorry, that's.
Oh, yes.
So like I said, 25 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, so I can reference it.
He was
Close enough.
Close enough.
The second time.
And now, are you gonna evaluate me next time? Yeah,
For a ticket.
Oh,
Okay, and I put it on a car fast and went back. Excuse me.
It was just the second, the
Siren turned off.
rubric.
Yeah.
Then he walked to the window and he saw
grab
me again, he just shook his head and said, and walked behind the
There's so many
and walked behind the vehicle this time.
Trying to keep it straight.
Not in front of
Yeah,
her.
that's why I found the room.
can you be a little more careful?
I broke the other stand.
Right, and you didn't want to do that, I was like, I was so
This is a
happy.
different one.
That was nice, and never
So I broke
stopped
this.
again, so.
Yeah.
You like
Well, it fell out. It fell out of this.
Yeah,
So I took this